welcome back to Words Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and you know what we like to do on Saturdays? We like to do nerdcore anime reactions. But not today, because I'm going to do something I very rarely do and talk about some Twitter drama. Some Twitter drama that your boy Leon was involved in. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is not a normal thing. In fact, I've only done like maybe one video on a topic like this when a indie comic creator about a Brittany Griner comic came at me for making fun of said comic. But this is an interesting case because it's about Brie Larson, someone who gets dunked on YouTube all the time. 9 times out of 10, deservedly so. But man, were the Brie Larson stands out in droves yesterday, and it was glorious to see. So let's go over the absolute mockery that is happening on Twitter, and let's just see for ourselves how insane Brie Larson stands truly are. Now, it all started with this tweet right here from Laza, someone I've never really heard of, but after getting into this, found out she was quite the stand for Brie Larson. Not through her. I actually didn't interact with her really all that much. It was a lot of the other people in her comments, but through other, YouTubers and people on Twitter found out, yeah, no, she's quite known for being a bit. But, so she states that targeted harassment towards an actress isn't criticism. You're being called out, so effing cope. Now, this is in response to, criticism isn't allowed when dealing with gender ideology. It must be perceived as hate because opinion away from doctrine is sacrilegious. Now, I would say that's a pretty accurate tweet. You don't exactly get far when you criticize the modern gender ideology when a lot of it is very much worth criticizing, but we're not talking about the gender ideology. We're talking about Brie Larson. And, targeted harassment towards an actress isn't criticism. So here are my thoughts on the matter. It's absolutely criticism. You have a deranged idea of what harassment is. When folks say you present yourself as a cold, conceited, and unlikable, plus you're bad at your job, you're criticizing how they present themselves and their job performance. It's that simple. It's fact. That is criticism. Whether you like the fact that people are, giving that sort of criticism, hey, that doesn't matter. By definition, it is in fact criticism. I'm sorry, making content about public figures, that ain't harassment. But it didn't stop there. I ended up getting a fair amount of replies on this, and to this take I actually think is pretty fair. Your argument would make sense if the loudest critics weren't the ones who pioneered using woke as criticism. And to that, I completely agree. I rarely use woke on my channel, as you guys know. I've made quite a bit of videos. I think this will be video number 370 if you count shorts, and I don't like the term woke. In fact, I say that right here. I hate that word. I rarely use it because I think it's lost all meaning. Right-wingers screeching woke are the same as the left-wingers screaming everyone who disagrees with them are Nazis. So I agree with you there. Woke alone isn't a valid enough criticism. In my most recent live stream, I had on an indie comic creator whose main character was a biracial female, and we talked about the idiots who would inherently call something like that woke. There's room for nuance. And I do agree with this. One of my most recent videos was criticizing Tim Pool, a prominent, if not right-winger, people who the right wing usually does look to, even though he's a bit in the middle. I was criticizing him for calling the Mario movie woke, when it absolutely is not. I do not like the term woke unless there is no other term that adequately sums up what is going on in that particular topic or movement at the time. I think there are better words to use and far better criticisms you can give than just calling something woke. So, yeah, I completely agree with this, Matthew M. That's completely fair, and I do not like the word woke either, although I do think there are times when really it is the only word for the job. Now, this person, on the other hand, not quite as intelligent. They say, no, you're presenting an opinion. Criticism is advice on how to improve a skill. Now, criticism is just an opinion, mind you. Like, when someone gives you criticisms, hey, I think you should do this to improve this, they are giving you an opinion on how to improve something. Criticisms are types of opinions. To this, I just responded with the definition of criticism. 1, the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. Or 2, the analysis and judgment of the merits and faults of literary or artistic work. Now, he says we're talking about the second one. First of all, no. I am talking about the first one. Brie Larson has received a ton of criticism. Technically, she has received a ton of both. But in this instance, when we're talking about the type of criticism that is being levied at Brie Larson, most oftentimes, we're criticizing her as a person based on these perceived faults or mistakes. So we're using number 1. However, I go along with him saying we're using number 2 because, it'll make him feel better. I can still blow holes in that as well. We're using the second one, and what you said still doesn't constitute. You're bad at your job is largely an opinion and not really a fault if it's not true. The fact that she continues to get cast in widely acclaimed movies, I'd say it's not. Now, this will be my longest response. Most of these people I did just ignore, but the fact that she was in critically acclaimed movies, that does not mean you are good at your job. There are many, many, many bad actors who have been in critically acclaimed movies. So many bad actors have continued to get work in widely acclaimed movies. That means nothing. People call Gal Gadot a bad actress. I disagree with that, by the way. I think Gal Gadot is a lovely actress, but hey, people say she's a bad actress. You know what? Fair enough. Other people say Brie Larson's a bad actress. At the end of the day, it is all just an opinion, but they've both been in some pretty acclaimed movies, and both of them get called bad actresses. Some people agree, some disagree, so I think she's a fair example. But she is in massive movies. People have called Mark Wahlberg a bad actor. He's a massive star. Same has been said about Nick Cage, Keanu Reeves. You know, I love Keanu Reeves. Everyone loves Keanu Reeves. People seem to forget that there was a time where everyone hated Keanu Reeves. I mean, walk back to like 2009 and prior, pretty much anything after The Matrix 2, but prior to John Wick. No one liked Keanu Reeves. I mean, I feel like I was one of the few that actually stood up for the guy just because I was a huge fan of the movie The Devil's Advocate, even though it's not that great of a movie. I love it. So yeah, I do remember the time on the internet where Keanu was getting just absolutely clowned on as a bad actor. They all loved him as a person. Everyone always thought Keanu Reeves was a good person. But no one liked him as an actor. So yeah, the list goes on. I can absolutely give criticism about her acting. It would be the same criticism others had given her. I figured I didn't need to spell out why, because you've all heard it before. Which, it seems like they've been through this before. These are Brie Larson stans. They've heard all the criticisms of Brie Larson. I don't need to repeat myself and say the same thing that everyone else has already talked about. How her acting is wooden. How her characters generally lack an incredible amount of depth. I mean, the list goes on and on about reasons that people do not like Brie Larson as an actress. She cannot act with her face to save her life. I mean, people want to talk about Hayden Christensen. Hayden Christensen, he might have some clunky dialogue in the Star Wars movies, but the dude can act with his face. Let me tell you that. But if I say she's a bad actress, and you heard a list of reasons from several others, I just assume you're smart enough to already know what I'm going to say and not waste the character count. Clearly, my mistake was assuming that intelligence on your part, and that is fair. That's my fault. That is my one bad. I apologize. I do genuinely apologize for thinking that you were intelligent enough to be able to handle that. Look, I could have gone on there, and I could have given the list of why I think Brie Larson's a bad actress. But again, I just assumed they'd heard all these criticisms before, so if I said I think she's a bad actress, they would know why. Apparently, I should have spelled it out and just had them, try and debunk that. Once again, it's all up to opinion. I do think she's a bad actress. And no, it's not because of Captain Marvel. I've thought she was a bad actress since Scott Pilgrim. Because I'll be honest, while I've loved that movie for years, my God, is she a weak link in the few scenes that she's in. Yeah, you're on that she's cold and conceited BS. One of those dudes who's pissy anytime anyone talks about race or gender or sexuality because you can't challenge your perceived notions. You seriously made a video complaining about Link being an LGBTQ icon. Yes, I have. If you haven't seen the video about me complaining about how games journalist considers Link from The Legend of Zelda an LGBTQ icon, by all means, check that video out after this one. It is a banger. Look, mate, we clearly aren't going to agree, so I'm not sure why you keep responding. Yeah, I take issue with games journalists, if you want to call them that, claiming Link is LGBT when Nintendo has flat out said he isn't. If the article was about Tracer, for example, I wouldn't have batted an eye, which is absolutely true once again, fellows. Gave a look at your YouTube channel. What a tragedy. There's no chud cake left for your, Now, I want to be fair. I don't know if this is this guy's or girl's or they, them's or whatever's first language. This is some atrocious spelling and grammar, so maybe English is not their first language. I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt instead of just assuming that they're a moron who was absolutely raised on a diet of horse feet and gasoline. But, they do tell me to try making a video about gay beer, and I will have you guys know, I wouldn't dare make a video about the Bud Light, Dylan Mulvaney stuff because, frankly, I just don't care. Bud Light's already losing billions of dollars, and I don't drink that crap anyway. I'll leave that to the other, right-wingers who want to on the internet about a crappy beer having a crappy mascot. And then I say, you mean my channel where I criticize both sides? This isn't the own you think it is, my friend. And this is absolutely true, because I am not a right-wing channel, nor am I a left-wing channel, and I've said it a million times. I'm a firmly down the middle who will criticize both sides. In the last month alone, I've criticized the right on this, and this, and this, and this. Let's not forget this. But yes, by all means, continue talking about how I'm a right-wing, alt-right YouTuber or anything else that you're attempting to imply when I criticize both sides, because no one side is right. There's often truth in the middle, which is the entire reason for me starting this channel. The fact that pop culture is getting a bit out of hand because both sides are screaming incredibly loud. There are times when the right wing is right. there are times when the left wing is right. Right now, I'm gonna say the left wing is wrong because I can surmise from these sorts of comments and frankly profile pictures that almost all these individuals, if not all of them, are somewhat left, and by left I mean super far left, probably even communists, but you know, it's just an assumption based on their language and basic not understanding of anything to do with common sense. Both sides is when you consistently grift to one side. Once again, I don't, but sure, go for it, Koichi. And then we got Gamer Geek in here. Now, Gamer Geek is an amazing YouTuber. Hop on over, give him a sub. He deserves it. He comes in to try and defend thine honor, for I am a damsel in distress. I love Gamer Geek. Like I said, give him a follow. His attempt at reverse psychology on these clods is worth merit, but unfortunately, we've seen all too often it doesn't work. They're not smart enough to understand it. But he does ask them to stop harassing me, because, I mean, after all, this did all talk about harassment. When a bunch of people are dogpiling on one person, that is harassment. That's what people are doing to Brie Larson, and now that's what people are doing to me. So, Gamer Geek does have a point. I was being quite harassed here. We already know you're retarded because you follow Waza. No need to prove it any further. Now, that being said, I do tell Gamer Geek that they can keep at it. Unlike them, I'm cool with other people having different opinions, regardless of how retarded those opinions are. I also don't consider this harassment because, frankly, I'm adult enough to know what real harassment is, but I appreciate you running defense. So, yes, this is not harassment. People saying mean things on the internet, or dumb things on the internet, or mean dumb things on the internet is not harassment. You can just not answer it, you can block it, you can remove yourself from the conversation, you can unfollow the Twitter thread. There's a million things you can do. This was not harassment. This is just a bunch of brainlets being brainlets. But that being said, it's awesome to see YouTubers coming out there, content creators coming out, you know, in support to be like, yo, guys, chill out, you're dumb, because, you know, it's all about solidarity, and I do appreciate that. So, seriously, thank you, Gamer Geek. Can't wait to have you on my channel. He does go on to say that he's just trying to use their own logic against them, but we've all seen the Einstein's definition of insanity approach. It just doesn't work with these folks. I mean, you can try to use logic and repeat the same process over and over, expecting different results, but it just won't work. There is no teaching these individuals. They've been chasing that woman around the internet for years. She can't even sneeze without making a video about it. Yeah, and content creators gonna create content. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That's still not harassment. It can be content you don't like, and that's completely fine. But it unfortunately is not harassment by literal definition of the word. So people have gotten so soft as of late, trying to call anything and everything that they don't like harassment. Look, guys, she's a multi-millionaire actress, public figure. If you're going to be in that position, you may as well expect a bit of people on the internet to not like you.
I don't know, does anyone want me to do it again?
This sort of stuff was absolutely going on back in the 90s, the 80s, and well before then. Ever since celebrity culture was effectively a thing, people have been sitting around in their living rooms talking massive crap for years upon years about certain celebrities they don't like. But now that it's on the internet, it can be shared amongst everyone, so it looks like it's this major problem. Let me tell you, I didn't have a Twitter for years, or I didn't have really any social media for years. Not a social media kind of guy, aside from my Twitter and YouTube here. That being said, I loathed Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. He's a great actor, but my God, did I loathe his Spider-Man. And from the very first time The Amazing Spider-Man came out in, what, 2013? So about 10 years ago, to this day, anytime the idea of Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man comes up, my goodness, do I go on a tirade about how awful he was in that role and how poorly written he was and just all this negative stuff, because people have criticized celebrities and movie stars and people from movies in general, even like characters, not necessarily the actors, since the dawn, again, of the celebrity age. This is nothing new. And let me tell you, I wasn't harassing Andrew Garfield the 10 years I was throwing all the shade at him that I could to the small circle I had. Now, just because we have a very large circle, being the internet, that doesn't change the fact that this has been going on, and it doesn't automatically make it harassment. This individual tries to insult my intelligence, but isn't even intelligent enough to get a good quality photo, so, you know, there's that. You have no father figure. Actually, I have two father figures. You progressive individuals would probably like to know. I have two dads, but I'm sure that doesn't matter to you whatsoever. No, having a full-blown tantrum anytime Larson shows up at anything, no matter how small, is absolutely not criticism in the slightest. I did not say that was criticism. I did not say that having a tantrum about Brie Larson being in anything was criticism. That was never my statement, but again, these people want to extract and extrapolate things that are not there. So I said that criticizing her is not harassment. And for that matter, people having a tantrum about her being in stuff also isn't harassment. This guy says small dick energy loser. Guys, it's not small, I'm just white. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference here. Now, you know, if you want that big dick energy, go to my man, I Man Rich the swag lord. He's black, so he can probably get that dick energy you're looking for. He's probably got a monster one for you. This guy says, too bad you're wrong in the statement. I'm not wrong. Making videos about someone on the internet, it's not harassment. Y'all are so annoying, bruh. I assume that was directed to me since it's a direct comment to me. And oh no, pointing out the fact that videos, making videos about someone isn't harassment is annoying. Oh well, internet's, people on the internet gonna annoy you. You just can keep scrolling, I guess. Cold, conceited, unlikable, her, and bad at your job. Because you people hated one character she played for reasons that had nothing to do with her acting, there was no valid criticism of Brie from your side. It's amazing that they seem to understand my side. I saw Captain Marvel. This was obviously well before I had a channel. Do you guys want to know what my thoughts on the Captain Marvel movie was? 7 out of 10. Absolutely nothing special. Should have come out in phase 2, and they really hammered it in the head way too much that it was in the 90s. It was very much a breaking, an immersion breaking portion of the film, and the music choice was awful. Every single chance they got to throw a popular 90s song in there just to really hammer home it was in the 90s, my god, was it grating. I gave Captain Marvel a 7 out of 10 when it came out after I saw it because it was fine. So I don't know what they're referring to in terms of no valid criticisms. I could come up with a much longer reason for my 7 out of 10, but I usually like to script my reviews and do them about things that I actually have opinions on that matter. I don't think an old Phase 3 MCU movie that no one really cares about anymore is going to go on that list anytime soon. As far as people hating on the one character she's played, to be fair, it's really the only one of note for her entire acting career. Again, you can maybe say Scott Pilgrim, but that's a super small role. Brie Larson's not exactly a massive name that's going to make you just come out in droves to the theater to see movies. Just say, hey, Brie Larson's in this. Her name alone isn't selling the tickets, so yeah, the one character she's played probably is enough for most people, considering it is kind of an iconic hero, and people have an attachment in history to that character, not to her as an actress. And then they round it out by trying to, pretend she's likable with these, corporate shilly TikToks, which is cringe when any celebrity does it. Brie Larson is not the first nor the last, and not an exception in any, by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, she is incredibly unlikable, and no sort of, choreographed lame TikTok or short video is going to change that opinion. Now here we have one of my favorite responses, might be my favorite response. This deranged channel has more videos about Brie Larson than Brie Larson's own YouTube channel videos, excluding shorts. Now, to be fair, Brie Larson's YouTube channel is an absolute joke. It has very few, very few uploads in general. It didn't even come about till after all the backlash towards Brie Larson because of how she acted during interviews and whatnot. It was very clearly a corporate thing to get her image to improve, to make her more likable and relatable, which a lot of people's issue with her is. And I'll be honest, I've watched 2 of her videos, and they were absolutely grating. I was not a fan whatsoever. I am not a Brie Larson hater. I'm also not a Brie Larson fan. I'm just over here trying to defend the differences and the merits between criticism and harassment. I don't hate Brie Larson. Okay, well, that's not true. I do hate Brie Larson, but not enough to make a bunch of content about her. This is the first time. It's really not even about her. I'm more making this about the stans, because I think the Brie Larson stans are far worse than Brie Larson. That said, they go on to say, do real critics really go around making 80+ videos to criticize a specific actor/actress? Well, these aren't movie critics. They're still content creators. You may not like them, and that's fair enough, but these aren't critics in the way that, like, Siskel and Ebert were critics. They are critiquing her as a person when news about her, comes out, when there is breaking news. If anything, this is a, Geeks and Gamers is an outrage, nerdy news show, which, hey, gets clicks on YouTube. Respect the grind or don't, whatever, is fine. But you say do real critics. I'm sorry, I don't know what made you the arbiter of what is or isn't a real critic. So I say out of 4,000 total videos, oh dear, a whole 2% of their videos are about Brie Larson. Because when you do the math, 80 videos, out of the fact that this channel has done 4,000 videos, it breaks down to 2%. Then they go on to say, I'm not even counting the ones that don't have Brie Larson in the title. This channel probably has more videos about Captain Marvel than Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel. Well, yeah, the Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel knows that Captain Marvel videos are, dislike ratio poison, so they don't put them out. Also, Brie Larson was kind of hiding under a rock for a long while because she knew that nobody really liked her.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
This one is funny because it calls me obvious alt with follow list filled with notorious harassment directing accounts. What a chicken shit hypocrite. Guys, no, that's not an alt account. This is my Twitter account. Yeah, the Words of Paradise Twitter account is in fact my Twitter account. So, nope, not an alt. And last but not least, we have this. There's no receipts for us harassing Brie Larson honest. This is by that same Laza individual. Now, this is a different post. I found this one afterwards, and this is the same individual that stated that, talking about someone over and over is harassment, and here they are, completely going over and over about this individual here, the quartering. So to that, I said, harassment, aggressive pressure, or intimidation. Hot take, making a bunch of content isn't harassment. This is like your third post about this today. By your own logic, you are harassing the quartering, or is it okay because you're doing it? Logical consistency would be nice. I effectively tried to take the same route that my boy Gamer Geek did earlier, knowing it would go nowhere, but it is fun to point out the logical fallacies. And of course, we get the sanctimonious detractor Peepee. The quartering and all of his goons is just a big dumping ground of shovelware by default. Now, whether that's true or not doesn't matter, because it's still obvious hypocrisy. Whether the person you are dunking on, whether the person you're trying to harass is a goon or their followers are goons, whether you like them or not, doesn't alter the fact that you are still doing by your own definition what is harassment when you make 3 posts about the same person in a day, or 3 posts about the same group of people in a day. So really, you are just being hypocritical. But yes, friends, this was my first foray into dealing with Brie Larson stands on Twitter. I mean, I had seen some of the YouTube videos talking about how absolutely toxic it was, but man, did I not really know the truth of it until actually being exposed to it. I mean, they want to say that individuals like Geeks and Gamers, or The Quartering, or Nerdrotic, or any of them, the Eric July, they want to call them toxic, but my goodness, have they looked in the mirror? Or can they not even see themselves? Are they all actually vampires? Which would make sense because their tweets come off as incredibly soulless. And it's really funny from someone of my perspective because, again, I'm a very down-the-middle type of individual. I criticize both sides. I do end up criticizing the left side more because, for the most part, the right wing does tend to stay out of nerdy interests like what I'm into. The right wing doesn't do a lot with video games and anime and things like that, but when they do, I absolutely call them out. And if they do more, I'll call them out more. But I'll be honest, that was the Republicans thing in, like, the 90s. They've seemed to have moved on to, making sure kids don't get their dicks cut off by their parents because they played with dolls when they were 4 years old and the kid was, a boy. So I feel like that's taken up too much of the Republicans' time for them to worry about anime 9 times out of 10. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments below, or you can let me know on Twitter, where you can find me at Bolt the Word, because I promise you guys, it's not an alt account. Twitter drama like this normally is not my thing, so don't expect this to be a regular type of video. My goodness, I could not help but have absolute fun with it. I mean, hey, they say to monetize your haters, so why not give it a shot, right? That said, I am usually a nerdy news channel. I do nerdy news every day. No, it's not always about Brie Larson, believe it or not. It's about Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, anime, you name it. It's all here in the nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.